Hello and welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show about life transformation through dream interpretation. I'm Michael Sheridan. On the show, through analysing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you what your superpowers are, what your spiritual gifts are, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. These bumps are not in the way, they are the way. Healing your childhood trauma, the bumps in your life, are probably the biggest way you're going to grow spiritually in this lifetime. Absolutely something you do not want to skip. You definitely want to do the healing for that. Anyway, on with the show. If you want to get your dream analyzed on my show, go to dream-analysis.com and submit your dream on that website. You can also download my free dictionary with thousands of symbols and play along, figure out either what your own dreams mean, and send them into the show then to see what I make of them, or just work on your own dreams, whatever you want to do. Thousands of symbols, all from real dreams, many of them from dreams that I interpreted on the show. So a couple of weeks ago, we had our St. Patrick's Day promotion, and we were giving out 6 readings. We had Tom and Lorraine on the show, and the winners, for people who sent dreams in over that week, we picked out 6 winners, 3 for each, 3 for Tom, 3 for Lorraine, and they are Janik from Denmark gets a reading with Lorraine, Jade gets a reading with Tom, Bella Caballero with Tom, Sarah Timones with Lorraine, Tracy Marples with Lorraine, and Zoe with Tom. Anybody who gets a dream analysed on today's show also will get a free reading. You'll get that detail as well. And we're going to keep that up for some time. Starting straight into it, I have got sent a dream from Elizabeth. She's been on the show before. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be great to get her back and do one of her dreams? Now, Elizabeth is an amazing channel. She works with me a lot of the time. I send people to her all the time. I'm such a fan of her work. And if you're interested in working with Elizabeth, her details will also be under the show on YouTube and other social media platforms. But for now, here is her dream and my analysis of it. Elizabeth, thanks for coming on the show to talk about your dream. You call it Unsuccessfully Writing a Thank You Card with a Silver Chain. So it's a longish dream, maybe. So I'll read it out and then you can fill in pieces and I'll explain. And what I like about it is you sent the dream in along with your interpretation. A lot of people are doing that. I really love that. So here we go. I'm in Canada, which is not surprising for you because you're from there, and find out that my dearest friend from childhood, who's thousands of miles away, is hosting a party for me at that very moment. And then you tell us in real life, she got into publishing, became an acquisitions manager, we can ignore that, editor and ghostwriter. So we like that, the publishing editor and ghostwriter. We met when our families were in the military in Ontario. She died last year in England and it broke my heart. Sorry to hear that. In the dream, I can see her smiling and wearing a white shirt. I see everyone at the party. So I'm very upset that I didn't receive a memo, so I can't attend my own party. So apart from her, do you know anybody else who's at the party?
No, she was prominent and there was a lot of activity, a lot of people hanging out. I didn't see anyone but her though.
Right.
I saw her face full on.
That was me putting my neck on the block there because I know why you're not at that party, right? And I'll tell you in a moment. But I needed to know you didn't know anyone else because that was important. You say, I didn't receive a memo, so can't attend my own party. I wonder who overlooked sending me a memo about my own party. I'm writing a thank you card to Sarah with sparkling silver chain, but it's not easy. As I shape the silver chain into words, it suddenly and magically becomes embedded in the card like normal handwriting in ink. But I keep making mistakes because the chain isn't very flexible. You're everything in the dream, Elizabeth. Who's not flexible? The silver chain has its own memory and wants to do its own thing, which makes it more difficult to write, but I keep persisting. I write a few words, they immediately become embedded in the card like handwriting, but the words aren't formed well, so I pull them up and they reform into the sparkling silver chain again. I make several attempts with the silver chain, but the process isn't happening fast enough. Writing a card should be a simple process, but writing with a silver chain isn't. I begin to feel panic because I can't write fast enough and want to send the card quickly before the party's over. I can see everyone at the party. I can see Sarah. I am so annoyed that I can't write fast enough with the silver chain. And then you wake up. Okay. Why didn't you use a pen?
Use what?
A pen.
A pen. I know. Why didn't I?
I asked you first. I know it's just funny. The silver chain, as you correctly said in your own analysis, is about your intuition. And she's a ghost writer. She's also a ghost in the sense that she's in the spirit world. And she's celebrating your life, you coming to the earth plane. And you want to get this thing written before the party's over. So you have a book in you that you need to write. And you're meant to use your own intuition. Now you channel, you're an amazing channel. And in fact, I have to say this about you. What I love about your channeling is a lot of people, you can get channeling and they will tell you things that are going to happen in your life and who you're going to meet and stuff like that. And that's all fantastic. Your channeling is all about pushing you forward on your life purpose, helping you heal, which is really works well with what the message of this show is. But anyway, Elizabeth's a channel. We'll put a link to your details under the show. But anyway, you have a book in you that you're meant to write, and you're not meant to channel it. You're meant to use your intuition. You're meant to use the silver chain. The chain is about being karmically obliged to do this. So you came here to do this. This is one of the agreements that you're going to write this book, but it's going to come from you. It's not going to be the spirit world dictating a book. Certainly they probably will help you with pieces, but it has to come from you. So we see her wearing the white shirt, and white, as you also said in your own analysis, is about being too much of a perfectionist. So are you writing a book, and have you restarted and restarted? Have you pulled the words up off the page and gone over it again and again and again? And why don't we have this book?
Oh, it's so literal. Yes, that's exactly what I do. I didn't catch that. I didn't understand that. Okay, yes. I am rewriting, editing, fine-tuning, and not moving fast enough. It's true. And yes, I'm writing my second book. First book is written, second book, probably I've got 2 more books in me because this thing is now 900 pages. You could break it in half and create 2 books. I just keep writing and fixing it.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So when do we get it? When do we get this book? When is it being published?
I keep saying next year, but that was last year. So let me think. Okay, I'll commit to a deadline. By the fall. How about that? It'll take, by next year, probably. 2022. It'll take a year to edit.
A year to edit?
There we go.
That's crazy. It doesn't take a year to edit. Anyway, I like it. What's the name of your book? What's it about?
It's the ineffable story of us. It's about my past life history and the past lives of the people that I've been working with, that I've connected with. We've all been on this past life journey together. So it weaves in history. It's a history book because of our histories together. So this one was about paranormal experiences. That is also paranormal, but it's about how we arrived at this point, how a bunch of us arrived at this point, because I've experienced past lives together with people. As I've guided them into trance, I found myself in trance, they've been in trance, and we're all together. Even in a group, we found ourselves in a past life together. So that's really what the book's about. And it's a book of healing and heightened awareness. Okay. So whatever I can do, you can do. That's the message.
Yeah. I believe you to a point. So what about this in the dream, this feeling, the sense of panic that you can't write fast enough? So the party being over is your life being over. So you want to get the book written and they're telling you, like, get this written. You came here to write this book. I don't want you to give away your age, but it's like you came here to write this book. You've known about it for a long time. Why isn't it on the shelves? And that's the message, but they're celebrating it in a very positive way. They're not saying, hey, your life is about to end or anything like that. But you see the sense in the dream of, I need to get it done before my party's over, before the celebration of my life ends. Do you have a sense of panic around the book? I started to say that and then I waffled.
Yes. Yes.
What?
I do. Well,
Why?
because it's very personal to put yourself out there and say, I had this life or this life or this life. It's really daunting. I mean, I think that's the biggest challenge. But I'm going to present it in such a way now, thinking out loud here, where it's a possibility that I could have been this person or could have been that, and we could have all been together in this way or that way. And it's all for learning, because we can step into consciousness. So I think that would be more easier.
Palatable for you or palatable for the reader? Are you trying to dodge
For
bullets
me,
with that? So you don't want somebody
yeah,
saying, hey, Elizabeth, I recognize that past life. I was in it. And you actually owe me money because I bought your house and you never paid me back.
you killed me. Like,
Yeah, well, then the answer is, well, yeah, don't get on my bad side again and I'll let you live this time. So, yeah.
I'll remember that, Michael. Thank you for that.
I had to censor my own words as I was saying that. Right. So I like it though, like right at the start, even Sarah was involved in publishing and editing and so on. So it's like the connection stays through all the way along. And then when you describe what the book's about, clearly it makes sense then why it has to come from you, because the common denominator in all those lives is your higher self. And the psychic connection that the silver chain represents is the connection to your higher self. So there's no point asking your guides, hey, what should I put in this piece, when the spirit that was involved in the whole thing, orchestrating it, including all your pain, is right there for access. So great. Thanks for coming on, and get to writing.
Get ready. Thank you, Michael. You just took a huge weight off my shoulders. I don't have to channel my way through it. That's perfect. Thank you.
Were you trying to channel your way through it?
Well, yeah, I was starting to channel the book, and it hasn't been going well.
Okay. All right. Good.
So,
All right.
yeah, you're amazing. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Moving on. Here's a dream from Susie. She calls it Hanging Earring Tree with a Strand of Stars. I love these dreams because you can actually tell what the whole dream is about just from the title. Like we know that the earrings are about clairaudient channeling or hearing your guides. And just to be clear, even though we see sometimes people are clairaudient, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will hear a voice outside their head, like a physical voice speaking to them. They do actually hear it inside, but it can sound like it's coming from outside. And for some people, it doesn't sound like it's outside, but it does sound like a voice in their head. I'm saying that in case that's you, in case you have dreams of earrings and you're wondering, should I actually hear a speaking bush, that kind of thing? No. So hanging earring tree with a strand of stars, and stars are all about goals. Like we often wish upon a star. We have to look up to see them. They're a shining beacon in the night sky. All positive, positive, positive things, unless you fall into one. But they're all positive things, and they're about goals, because anything circular in a dream is about a goal. Anything that's 3D, spherical, is even better. And so stars are about goals, pursuing your goals. So the hanging earring tree is positive there. It's about pursuing the goal of clairaudience. Here's the dream. In my dream, I was using a silver ornamental chain decorated with silver stars to hang the blue earring tree from the wall. It looked nice, though I was concerned about the star strand breaking under the weight of the earring tree. Okay, so we know the earring tree is about hearing your guides or channeling. And the dreamer has other ways of channeling too, but this is just one of them. Hearing the guides really is the emphasis. And then this is putting a weight on the silver strand. We know that the silver is about intuition and psychic connection. We know that from Elizabeth's dream a moment ago. And she's afraid that the weight that's been put on that with pursuing the channeling is going to cause it to break. So we know the stars are about goals. So it's like she already has a feeling about where she's going with her goals in life. And her fear is that pursuing the channeling is going to get in the way of that or break that. Does that make sense? Hope it does. In the dream, unlike in real life, my husband had only painted the front half blue. The backside remained black. In my dream, several times the unpainted black side of the earring tree turned towards the front, and I adjusted it so that the blue side was showing, and that's it. And Susie gives an analysis of her dream, which is really good. So the black side, and this didn't happen in reality, so this is what's different. The black side is about fears from the past because it's on the back of the tree. And so the dream says that this black side is turning towards the front and she keeps turning it back. So if black is about fears, it means that she is afraid, or her fears about channeling get in her way to the point where she's afraid other people are going to be aware of her fears around channeling. And so she's turning it so it's not, so it's hidden. And that's her issue. So she's quite happy pursuing her spiritual goals. But then when you give her something positive or tangible to hang on it, like, hey, you're a channel, you need to channel, then she's afraid that her fears around that, or she's afraid it's going to break her goals, break her ability to get her goals. But it's because she has fears about displaying her channeling side. And it's a very simple, elegant little dream. The blue is about expression of who you are. I always say it's about philosophy of life, so it is that too. So she's meant to include the fact that she's a channel in her philosophy of life, meaning when she thinks about herself, it'll say, hey, yeah, I'm Susie, I'm a channel. But it's also about spiritual expression. Blue is the color of the throat chakra. I'm wearing blue today for a change. But it's all about spiritual expression and cultural expression. So this is part of who she is, and she's meant to express it and overcome the fears. Don't be worried about how you perceive other people's view of your channeling. It's not about them, it's about you. So thank you for that dream, Susie. Let's move on. Here's one from Judy, and she says, I didn't remember the dream at first until I was brushing my teeth the next morning, and all of a sudden this incredible love started pouring through me and the memory of the dream unfolded. This dream was about 20 years ago, still as clear today as it was then. Isn't it interesting when you get a dream from that long ago and it stays so clear with you? And here it is. And she kind of interprets it, or a character in her dream interprets it for her during the dream, and that's why I like this one. She says, as I was dreaming, I had two perspectives. One was participating in the dream, and the other was watching it like a movie. As I was watching the dream unfold, there was a being standing to my right. I couldn't see him, but he had a tremendous but very gentle and loving presence, and he explained the dream as it unfolded. I like that, and I like how that showed up. And we've had that kind of thing show up on the show before. So when we come here, it's only an aspect of us comes here to work on ourselves, and the biggest part remains behind, overseeing what we're doing, making sure we're staying true to our life purpose. It takes the risk out of living an earth life, because we could go backwards in terms of spiritual development instead of progressing. So if we only send an aspect or a few aspects, then that's what we're risking. They're the chips we've put on the table. And sometimes you can see that in a dream like here, that there's another part of you somewhere else that is wiser. Anyway, she says, in the dream, I found myself on a massive aircraft carrier in the ocean. The ocean's about life and spirituality. That's cool. Except that it was actually a pleasure cruise, and the deck was covered with people in deck chairs soaking up the sun and reading books or magazines. So we know you're a counselor. I don't know if you ever got into that, but do write and let me know. Is that what you worked at, or is that what you were drawn to? Because that's definitely what you're meant to have been doing. And then soaking up the sun. The sun is about spiritual healing. You're also a hands-on healer. But in the dream, you're using your own healing ability to help heal yourself. The pleasure cruise, we see that happen in dreams when life wasn't a pleasure, when life was actually really difficult and tough. And so the dream is saying, hey, this is what it's meant to be. It's meant to be easy. It's not meant to be a struggle, and so on and so on. And you say, this was pre-cell phone era. And so I was also in a deck chair reading when suddenly a massive storm came out of nowhere. The waves were incredible and smashed over the boat, sending 1/3 of the bodies flying through the air and into the ocean. I was pummeled by the waves and water, and my fingers dug into the trenches / grooves on the deck as I clutched the ship, fighting to stay on board, but very close to being washed over the edge. As I watched this unfold, the being next to me pointed to the people being washed overboard and said, "Do you see those people? They are done." There was a great sense of finality, and I understood that everything was over for them. And so I'm going to move my pointer to there, so I'll come back to it at that point. So that is what life is about. But this tells us that you had a very difficult life. The wave coming in is like life coming at you, life being so overpowering that it nearly did you in. And the 1/3 is significant. So we know it's probably going to be something around the age 3, because we have the 3 in that figure. So something at an early start to life. And we know also, because the way you talk about being pummeled by the waves and then digging into the trenches, we know that if I was to meet you some time ago and say, "Hey, do you know what you're meant to do, Judy? This is what you're meant to do in life," you'd be like, "No, I've already decided this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to take your help, and I'm not going to." And of course, you're not the way in everything, but you're able to dig your heels in for sure. And why is that important? It probably gives you a level of being stubborn that helps you to do things in your life and get them done, because you don't give up easily, because life taught you that you can't give up or you'll be done for. But also it means that you don't always take the easiest route. And that's the message that the being tells you just now in this piece. You say, "There was a great sense of finality, and I understood everything was over for them." Then he pointed to me struggling to hang onto the deck as the water smashed over me. "But you," he said, "I'm so proud of you. You've made it." Incredible love poured out of him and into me. And then he pointed to another part of the ship and he said, "But now this is where I want you to be." And I turned and looked, and I saw that 1/3 of the people on the ship were still in their deck chairs. The sky was blue above them, and there was no storm. I understood immediately that this meant I was on my spiritual journey and had come so far, but he was telling me I needed to get to the point where there was no storm because of my own spiritual growth and connection. That one is hard to kind of put into words for me, but I hope that you understand what I'm saying. And I do indeed. And I love the dream, Judy. And so he is saying, look, the difficulty in life, we hang on to our difficulties. And that's what the digging into the trenches and all that is about. And we don't know that we're doing that, but we hang on to it by not healing the childhood traumas that we have. Do you see what I did there? A complete circle back to the start of the show. That's what you're meant to do. All of us, we're meant to heal the trauma that we have from the start of our life. That's going to give us the spiritual growth that we need, that we most need in this lifetime. And then that's going to put us on the sunny side for the rest of our life, where it's a cruise, we're enjoying ourselves, we don't have life coming at us and traumatizing us over and over and over. But that's the whole point of it. And it's very encouraging in your dream to see the being telling you, this is where I want you to be. Because then you've got to figure out, how do I get there? Why is it that some people, like 1/3 of people, get killed, another 1/3 are hanging on for dear life, and then the other 1/3 are blissfully unaware and enjoying themselves? But again, that's where you're meant to be. So very encouraging. I think I've covered everything in that dream. Here's another quick dream from Lindsay. I'm just doing the last part of your dream, Lindsay, so apologies for that. You say, "I'm walking with a family friend through a parking lot near the water, and waves are washing over our feet." That's really nice. The next part of the seaside beach parking lot is covered with drifted sand. There are lots of empty spaces here, but they're inaccessible because of the upper parking lot being so full. All the sand is brown. Someone says, "Hey, look, there's Elvis." But it's not Elvis. It's a Mexican-looking guy playing a guitar and singing a song about a mom, and not singing particularly well. He's up really high on a platform between 2 big posts or towers, the color of the sand. I'm headed towards the ocean, and then I wake up. So the ocean and the approach to the ocean is about your spiritual approach, because the ocean itself is about spirituality. So the sand is about spiritual approach, even if it's in the parking lot. And parking lots, They're not always good in dreams, but they're about a choice of roles or attitude. So it's saying it's your choice really to choose to have a spiritual approach to life. And what else have we got? Yeah, Elvis. So Elvis is about a channeling ability because he's a musician. And even though this isn't Elvis, it's an impersonator, that kind of tells us that you feel like you're not really a channel, you're an imposter. You have kind of imposter syndrome because you probably feel like, well, I know people who can channel way better than me, etc., etc., etc. Or even if you're not channeling, it's a sense of, why would I learn to do it? There are people that are fantastic. Well, you're meant to do it because you're meant to help people through doing it. And we know it's something really good for you because you're on 2 big posts, and 2 is really important for channels. We see it all the time. So this is going to help raise your vibration to where it needs to be. And it's the color of the sand, and you say it's brown sand. So that says this is a practical thing for you to do. Pursuing your spiritual path, super, super, super practical. And he's singing a song about a mom. So we know that there's issues about you. She's singing a song about a mom, and I'm pretty sure, although I don't see it in the comments here, that you said that you're pregnant at this moment in time. So this is really positive. So it says the pregnancy is going to help you with your channeling ability. I've said that on the show many times before. I see it with people when they get pregnant and they're already on the spiritual path. It's like, bang, suddenly I can hear my guides. And that's how it's going to be for you. Okay. That's our show for this week. I do hope you enjoyed it. Everybody who got a dream done will get a prize. So go to dream-analysis.com and submit your dream to the show, or download the dictionary and be in with a chance for next week. See you next week. Take care.